Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to
Hobby Mules.
a podcast where the hosts are as based as their minis.
I'm Sam,
And I'm Josh.
and we'll be your talking people for today.
That's right.
We have a lot to say. And Josh, you kind of came up with this. You've been going on about this. You're going insane with this. What's up, Doc?
Competitive play sucks. Narrative play is better.
It's way better.
Let's talk about that.
Right now. Although I think we should set some a base, so to speak. So, competitive play. What is competitive play, Josh?
So, competitive play is your standard, out-of-the-book experience with a war game specifically. We're talking war games and skirmish games today. So, aspects of competitive play include having equal-sized forces.
Symmetrical battles where terrain is roughly the same for everyone, and the forces are also.
Right. It's like, you have a building in your left field? Well, that means I need to have a building in my left field.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is
Fair and balanced.
equality.
Ugh, makes me shudder.
But the goal is to make everything as balanced as possible.
Yeah, it's for spikes.
Yeah, sweaty, salty men.
Exactly, yeah. Kind of reminds me of Advanced D&D. That was made for a competitive D&D play, no joke. Gygax himself.
That's, kind of silly. We've talked about it.
We have, yeah. Rules for everything that you're going to have to stop and look up.
And in competitive play, balance is valued higher than variety or creative thinking.
Right, well, it's focused on trying to get two armies of equal strength to fight each other on equal footing, which is kind of absurd.
It is, especially if these armies are supposed to be distinct with separate rules, lore, backgrounds, models. How do you cram all that into two equal forces?
Especially going back to the lore thing, when they're just imbalanced.
Yeah, so the way you do that is if vanilla fights vanilla, they're both vanilla. And vanilla is equal.
What if vanilla and chocolate fight, though, Josh?
Whoa.
Too far ahead?
So the meta also can stomp out creative options. And anyone who's played 40k or Age of Sigmar or any wargame really knows this, is that you'll have a unit that's really fun.
Juicy. Flavorful.
Really cool model. Nobody takes it.
Right. Well, why would you take a 45-point model that kind of sucks when you could take a 30-point model that's insane but really boring?
Exactly. And he's boring because that's the pick. That's the take. Everybody runs that model. You got into the hobby because you really liked this other model, but now you found out he sucks. And if I'm playing match play, competitive play, and I want to take these cool models, I'm going to lose every single game and be miserable.
And that's not a fun feeling. Not at all. Yeah, for me, I know I pick armies based on how they look.
Well, that's what everybody tells you to do, right?
They do that, yeah, and then once you I find this too. Once you have the army, that's when people start saying, okay, well, you can kind of do this, this, and this if you really want to do well, but otherwise, they're not the best right now. Better wait for a balance update where they might get slightly better. Maybe.
Better luck next edition, chud.
Ugh. Lord help you if you pick Eldar.
Well, Eldar are really good. What do you mean?
They're always really good.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the spike thing to pick.
Lord doesn't need to help you. Lord help you if your friend plays Eldar.
Oh dear.
That is competitive play or matched play. Sam, what is narrative play?
So narrative play is when your game tries to focus on telling some kind of story rather than being all about strict rules, armies, terrain. That doesn't matter. The fun, the creativity, those are trying to be pushed forward above everything.
And what would that look like?
What would that look like? So maybe like a Last Stand scenario where your enemy's forces respawn, I don't know, maybe every 3 turns, and your guys don't. You're in the middle of the map trying to fight them off, and as you lose guys, your enemy overwhelms you. You see how long you can last.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Kind of like you just deploy in the center.
Yeah.
Your opponent can deploy around all 4 board edges, Like at the start of their command phase, on like a 4-up, they can return slain models or slain units.
And maybe like their units come in slower, so their heavier units have like, oh, they'll come in turn 5 for sure, but we don't know. It'll be the lighter units running at you first.
Stuff like that. And then the objective of a game like that wouldn't be like, well, I scored more in my secondaries than you, so I win. It'd be like,
how long can I last?
How long can I last?
I know I'm going to lose. The scenario's set me up to lose, but how long can I hold on?
Or if I have any models left at the end of this, I survive. Or maybe
I'm extracted or something.
Or like Riders of Rohan arrive to save the Defenders of Helm's Deep.
Ooh.
If you can hold out long enough.
That's cool.
Or the Defenders of Minas Tirith. Those Riders of Rohan really come in to save the day.
Yeah, they do. That's not balanced, Josh. That's not balanced, having the Riders of Rohan, if you survive long enough, come in and make you win.
Balance and a fair fight are both illusions and delusions.
Only madmen are mad. I had something witty and I completely lost it. But yes, that's very true. I say that a lot.
But it's narrative play. It's kind of an agreement between the players that telling a cool story is more important than winning.
Right. It's more important than competing.
Yeah, because it's inherently unbalanced.
Oh, yeah. And that's what makes it fun, though. Balance doesn't necessarily mean that something's going to be a ton of fun, that the equality will make the game better. No. Like in anything, like D&D is the example I always use for this, because that's what I talk about a lot. But, like, what fun is it to stand around punching a monster and having them punch you for, like, 30 minutes before you just win?
Not very.
Not very. Same thing in a war game where 40k, you lose by 5 points and that just kind of sucks after like an hour and a half long slogging match.
Yeah, so the whole point was winning. Your game comes down to the final charge roll, you miss it, you lose. And that's fine.
That's not very exciting.
If the whole point is winning, it's all kind of hinged on, well, winning. But if you're playing a narrative game, it's not that you're not trying to win, but maybe you're playing for different objectives.
Right, I know what you mean. The fun is in, how would I word this? The setting, so to speak?
It's the story.
The story.
You were telling a story. And even losing in a narrative game tells a story. I just played a narrative game where the Custodes, with the old good rules, were trying to protect a piece. It was like a blueprint. Piece of Golden Age technology that they had found in some ruins from Chaos Knights that were coming. And if I had the artifact in my possession at the end of the 5th round, I ferried it off-world. And if not, the Chaos Knights stole it.
Nice.
And the battlefield was a barrel. I was the fish. And it was a slaughter.
It was a slaughter.
And I quote, "The Custodes died like dogs that day.
And the Chaos Knights retreated with their stolen prize. The Emperor's finest were wounded, but they will return."
Yeah. And even though I lost horribly, it was a fun, last stand, kind of desperate scenario.
And with that, too, like, let's say you wanted to continue that storyline. That's super easy. Have a Custodes strike team go to an enemy base to try to find, the location of where they brought this. What are they called? They have a proper name, though.
I know. It's like it's not an STL.
It's not an STL. It basically is.
Basically, yeah.
Why can't I remember it? Shoot.
It's something like STL.
It's something like STL. Jeepers.
Yeah. Brittany, can you pull that up?
Just silence.
Damn.
That opens the floodgates to what could be a massive and epic campaign of trying to reclaim it.
Absolutely. And maybe next game, they got this piece of tech. Maybe it improves the ballistic skill of his knights by 1 or something.
Ooh.
Make it real hard on me.
That would. Well, hopefully you'd balance that by having him play some Krieg or something as, some chaosy guys.
Krieg aren't chaos, Sam.
Corrupted Krieg. Maybe that's what the Dark Age tech does. Maybe it poisons some of their clone bats.
Or Dark Mechanicum. Yeah, something.
Yeah, something.
But what are... We touched on them a little bit, but what are some other problems with matched play?
Other problems with matched play? Well, this kind of flows from what we were talking about, but why are we even fighting over
nameless?
I know. Oh, yeah, what?
We're fighting over these 5 little orange markers on the table, and if I stand my guys on it, I get points.
I
And
think
if
you
I
mean
get-
if there's 6 inches around you,
You're right. If
Josh.
there's and if I get more points than you, I win.
You know why they have to be within 6 feet? Or no, 6 inches? Same thing.
Hmm.
It's because they all... What do they call it when the glasses get to be like the reading glasses? Is that farsighted? Nearsighted?
Nearsighted?
Or is it farsighted where they can see far away?
No. Farsight works for the Tau.
Wait a minute. It's all coming together. In any case, all the Space Marines need bifocals to read the data.
Yeah.
That's why they have to be close.
And I get if you extrapolate it enough, it's all arbitrary. But like, we keep bringing it back to 40k because I think it's the most egregious example of it's this super rich setting. Everybody gets into it not because the game is fun, but because they love the models, they love the lore, they love this world. And now you play it on the tabletop, and what is it? I'm chasing intel. What's the intel? Oh.
It'll help us, whatever it is. Sometimes the intel moves, though, Josh. Ooh.
Yeah, we're fighting over intel. We're fighting over objective markers. Well, what are the objective markers? If you're playing a narrative game, you can put the objective markers on, like, you know...
In narrative spots, they don't have to be equal distance from
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
could be gene seed in this vault. It's really close to maybe you, and your enemy has to come to you to try to get it while you defend it.
Yeah, or maybe there's, like, an AA gun that you guys are fighting over.
Ooh.
And whoever controls it can, like, deny the other player reinforcements because they're shooting down their aircraft.
That's cool.
Stuff like that. Super fun, super flavorful, super memorable. You're not just, all of a sudden, you're not just fighting over a arbitrary token. You're fighting over a piece of the battlefield.
That'll stick with you.
Yes.
Like, Josh, how many of your 40k battles can you remember where, the mission rule, the secondary, and then however the objectives are placed? Like, do you remember that? Do you retain that information?
The only ones that I can even remember at all are the really weird ones that weren't match play. They were like the bunker missions that are kind of wacky ones. They come in the White Dwarves. Like one was you got your deployment was randomized.
Ooh.
So you randomly started in one of 2 diagonal corners, but you don't get to pick which units start where. You roll for it.
That's pretty
So
cool.
it wasn't a narrative thing, but it was something unique and, you know, kind of fun
That is fun.
that stuck with you. Not balanced at all.
Oh, certainly not.
I wouldn't have put those units there, but I didn't have a say in it. The game scenario chose for me, and then you just have to play with the results.
And that's pretty awesome.
That is very awesome.
It forces you to think a little more, too. You know, like, shoot.
A little more or a little less, because the big thing about narrative play is you don't have to make the best choice every single time. You just have to make the correct story choice. What would the defenders of Cadia do in this scenario? Sure, they could rush over on that point and get a few victory points for me, or they could charge the demons that are right in front of them and scream, "Cadia stands!"
While the commissar behind them screeches, "The enemy knows not your family, but the commissariat does! Forward!"
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yes. Another problem with balanced match play and hitting 10th edition 40k again,
Fuck 40k.
when you try to balance everything, you kind of remove all the fun, flavorful narrative rules.
Now, Josh, you brought up a really good example before this, actually, on how to kind of codify this. Do you want to use that? Go on, don't be shy.
Take the leap from 9th edition to 10th edition. 10th edition was promoted as being super balanced, kind of dumbed everything down. It made it all very samey. Space Marines don't play that different from Orcs, which don't play that different from Chaos Space Marines. And if you try to think of any fun, flavorful rules from 9th edition that stuck around into 10th,
Please let us know.
I can't really think of any. It's like, what does everybody do? Well, my unit has sustained hits. This unit gets to reroll its hits. This unit rerolls ones. It's all so...
Samey.
It's all so samey.
Samey. Like, I don't remember exactly how it works, but Night Lords had a cool rule where their jump pack marines could descend from the sky, spook the shit out of an enemy unit, scratch them up, and then just descend back into the sky for another pounce later.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Those are very cool rules. We don't get them a 10th.
No, and I doubt we will, really. 10th is made for tournament players. Let's be quite honest.
It is, and it's a real shame. It seems like everybody who plays 10th edition, all they care about is winning. And even like when I play, it's like playing a board game. You and your opponent show up to play a board game. Story doesn't matter. Narrative doesn't matter. It's who can get the most arbitrary points so that they can win.
And that's a fine way to spend time, I suppose. Like, shoot, I know I've done that. I think we've all done it a lot.
Yeah, I've played tons of 10th edition just like that, you know. Narrative isn't even a consideration. Who can win the game? And it's fun.
Thinking on it just in general, and obviously there are exceptions to this, but I think as a main kind of rule or idea, tabletop gaming, specifically war games, skirmish games, model building games, is already such an intensely creative hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether that's kit bashing, painting, or even just putting together the models in general. It strikes me as a bit odd that there aren't more creative ways to play the games, despite all the creativity that goes into making all these models presentable.
Yeah, and it's like, well, just go play Crusade mode. It's like, okay.
But it's kind of boring.
It's just 40k with a few... But you get an extra artifact, and you guys can get some battle scars. It's not the focus. Where old editions of the game, to my understanding...
Intensely focused on narrative.
Right, and like a lot of people who play those editions look very fondly on them. But it kind of seems like everybody now just accepts the fact that, like, well, it all has to be perfectly balanced. You know, this is better. And I think we both disagree with that sentiment.
100%. Like, I guess the viewers don't know it, but I've made it amply known to Josh and basically everyone else. But I'm getting out of 40k for a while. I almost sold my Leviathan box. That was a scenario, but it's up for sale. I sold my other Sisters of Battle box.
He's just going Insano style.
I am going Insano style. The only edition right now that I would consider playing would be something like 2nd or 3rd edition, which I have a bunch of old Metal Eldar.
You hung on to them?
Oh, I'm keeping them. That was
okay.
Such a good deal. They have so much character. I would love to play an old edition of the game. That would actually be awesome. And right now I'm in a 40k slump, like I said. Like, yeah, that's Josh.
Maybe that's how we get you out of it.
Maybe. We'll have to try it. But...
roll some scatter dice, some explosion templates.
I want to do more. I want explosion templates.
The old edition where you'd cast, like, the Foot of Gork, and the blast template was a giant foot.
That's awesome. That's unironically awesome.
And now that, you know, it's like, I deal D3 mortal wounds to that unit.
Yeah, everything.
But on a 1, I deal D3 mortal wounds to myself. Isn't that quirky?
That annoys me. That really annoys me, that rule. How flavorful is that?
Yeah.
Do something weird. Maybe they honestly could have done something interesting, like, oh, maybe your unit's 2 inches slower this turn. Literally anything else would have been mildly interesting compared to, if I roll a 1, I damage myself.
Yeah.
I'm mildly peeved, Josh.
Only mildly.
Only mildly.
All right, well, enough Debbie Downing. Why is narrative gaming superior? Sam.
Me?
Yeah.
Because we say so.
And also because we are correct.
Always correct.
Next question.
Why is narrative gaming superior, Josh?
Well, like we talked about earlier, the game is more than just chasing arbitrary victory points.
Now you're chasing specific objectives with actual meaning attached to them.
That both players, or a game master even, work together at the start of the game to come up with. And a little exercise I wanted to do. Sam and I were both DMs. We're both wargamers. So using this Battle of Glimsforge battle plan that I got in the most recent White Dwarf, how can we amplify the narrative aspects of it? It's already an inherently asymmetric scenario. It's a siege. So the way it works is the defender has a castle wall behind them with a gate on one of the sections.
Okay. By the way, I know nothing about this. I was told about this before recording, so...
Well, the attacker has one victory condition. They have to destroy either one section of wall or the gate. The gate's a little bit easier to kill. The defender has one victory condition. Hold the wall. Don't let a single part of it get destroyed.
That's pretty cool.
And that's it. That's the entire battle plan. It's very, very simple. So what are a few things we could add to it to kind of, spice up the narrative even more?
Maybe there are archers on the wall and they could shoot.
That was my first thought. So you determine like how many attacks they get, what they hit on, what they wound on. This is for Age of Sigmar, by the way, if I didn't point that out. But you could use this in any game, game system. Middle Earth, 40k.
It's a very generic plan.
Yeah, it is. Any war game. So archers in your shooting phase, or if it's an alternating activation game, you can select the archers in the castle wall to shoot. They've got a certain amount of range and attacks, and they get to fire. Makes perfect sense. Super flavorful.
Maybe they have to attack the closest one because they're panicked about them specifically breaking the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I just thought of another really good one, by the way. So maybe like once per game, the defender can choose, all right, open the gates to get reinforcements. But here's the thing. Those gates remain open for one turn. If the enemy can get one model through that gate, maybe they can like lock the mechanism that shuts it. Leaving the gate open.
An instant win condition.
An instant win condition. But,
a risky maneuver.
Do you get more defenders out and risk, someone quick running in?
Oh, yeah. I like that. Another one I just thought of is sappers. Like from Helm's Deep. Maybe you can select a few units that have bombs. And if they get to the wall, they can detonate it for massive damage.
That would be cool.
But they only get a couple. So they're putting big targets on themselves. But if they get to the wall, the defender's in big trouble.
Right.
And maybe to show the weight of the horde, this massive army that's attacking, they get reinforcements. Destroyed battle line units come back on like a 3-up every turn.
Okay, and with that too, you could even give the defenders a little bit more of defensible terrain.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe they even set it up like after the initial deployment is decided for the attacker. There's a lot of cool things you can do.
Like palisades they can throw up.
Yeah. Or even just like spikes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So something like that. I hope that kind of... if you didn't know what narrative wargaming was, I hope that...
cleared it up.
Yeah, I hope that clears it up for you. And I hope it sounds fun. Because like now, I want to play this.
We could do that with Conquest.
Conquest, Sigmar, any game.
Yeah.
Totally good. And that'd be very, very fun.
Oh, totally.
A lot more fun than Match Play.
Oh, 40k. It might even be fun in 40k.
It would be, I think. No, I'm not even joking. That would make 40k a hell of a lot more fun if you played it like this.
You know what? Maybe that's what we do. We can get Ryan with a Titan, one of them. Some Custodes. Defending a wall and Death Guard attacking them or something.
That would be cool.
That might be cool.
You could have the knight inside the wall shooting over it.
That would be pretty cool.
And that could be the archers.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
So,
but you can still use his models. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like your inner DM. Like, you get a narrative idea, and you just kind of obsess over it, and you flesh it out, and you come up with all these cool rules. That's narrative wargaming. And you don't get to do that in Match Play.
No, you don't.
Not at all.
You could even come up with a ton of cool, like, unique stratagems on note cards and shuffle them. So you never know which one you're going to get next.
An event deck.
An event deck. Ooh.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Lots of board games have an event deck to kind of randomize the play.
Spice things up.
Yeah. Maybe the defender's win condition, the turn of the tide reinforcements are shuffled into the event deck in like the bottom half. So they have to survive a certain number of turns until you flip that card.
Ooh, another thing you could do with something like that is maybe like the Noble Lord said, all right, this is a lost cause. I need you all to escort me off the battlefield. I'm coming at the gate.
And now you can do that for a minor victory.
Yes.
Instead of a major victory. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you're using your noodle, Sam.
I like this a lot. A lot of cool stuff you can do with that. A lot of cool terrain that you can do with that.
Yeah.
Rather than your boring, destroyed buildings.
Another thing, too, if you build terrain, you could build terrains for specific scenarios.
And that's actually awesome.
I just read, again, going back to White Dwarf, they had this massive anniversary battle report that's a narrative-focused one, and as part of it, there's a boarding actions battle in space that took place ahead of time, and the Space Marines lost, so the ship crashed into the planet, and part of the game of 40K is a giant piece of the ship crashes into the planet in the middle of the board.
That's really cool.
It was really cool. So they had to build this custom piece of scenery for a narrative scenario that they knew they would be playing.
And then you could have the Space Marines lost. Do you know who they were fighting?
Gene Stealers.
You could have Gene Stealers pouring out of that.
Which is what happened, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
It was very cool. A very cool moment.
That is genuinely cool.
Right, because I think part of the reason you're so down on 40K, Sam, is because of what 10th edition is. And if we can bring the hobby back to what gets us excited, which is the lore, telling these cool stories, that's where the fun is.
Yeah, I guess Games Workshop really has done it in for me.
Yeah, they kind of sucked the fun out of their own setting.
They turned Death Guard into a horde army. A freaking horde army.
That's pretty despicable.
It is pretty despicable. So,
you don't like 16-point Space Marines, Sam?
That to me is absurd. Like, legitimately absurd. Their bolt guns don't feel very bolt gunny. That's the thing about Darktide. You feel the weight of a bolt gun when you have one.
Totally.
But they're like little plinkers. Pew, 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 pew. That's the sound a bolt gun makes in the tabletop.
They don't even have an AP.
We could probably make our own better custom rules for each unit, honestly.
Definitely. Just kind of pat it out a bit. I saw a video where they did that to Custodes.
Really?
They made every single Custodian. It was, how was it? Oh, the name escapes me. Well, one of the bigger channels, but every single Custodian had 7 wounds, 7 attacks, and a 4-up feel no pain.
That's awesome. That's flavorful.
It was crazy. That's probably a little too much, but...
You know what, Josh? Maybe what we do, this would bring a lot of fun back into 40K. We make custom rules for all of our units, do something with alternating activations, which we've been talking a lot about.
So just make our own game.
Because here's the thing. This is said a lot. I need to say it more, but 40K, any war game, any game for that matter, it's about your dudes. Your dudes. Not about whatever the big thing in the setting is, unless you want it to be. It's focusing on a small slice and extrapolating the fun from there. And narrative play is perfect for that. That almost makes me want to paint Night Lords. Almost. Oh, shoot.
Dang,
It's not a full come around yet, but I'm thinking.
I've got you hooked. Okay, you guys should have heard Sam in the green room. He was so down on 40K that
I was thinking about selling everything.
Yeah, the entire collection.
It'll still be a long break probably until I play, honestly. But
might be some narrative games in the horizon.
There might be some narrative games on
and
the
if
horizon.
that doesn't prove the power of fun in these kind of scenarios, then I don't know what does.
This wasn't staged. I was legitimately a little groggy and just pissed.
You guys actually got to see, like, in real time, Sam kind of go full circle a little bit.
A little more. I won't sell the models, Josh. I'll make that decree now. I was thinking about selling all of my painted Death Guard. I was.
Wow.
Jeepers.
Nah, we just gotta find the fun again.
You do.
And
oh, sorry.
Games Workshop has deliberately steered the ship away from fun. And now the entire game is just about points and winning. And I would like, if as a community of gamers, we could kind of right the ship and go back to that old style of narrative-focused games.
And like we kind of touched on earlier with earlier editions of 40K, there are a lot of examples we can look to guide us, to guide our ship, our rudder, into this brave new horizon.
We have 50 years of wargaming history to look back at, plus, any historical battle.
So this is something I want to bring up. I can't remember the channel's name, the one you sent me for Bolt Action. Josh sent me a battle report.
Oh, God, what are they called? I don't know. They're cool. We'll throw the name of all these channels we're talking about in the description. Since I'm not editing this one, I can tell Sam that.
Okay, we'll do that. Normally, whenever I goof in a recording for my YouTube, I just get a Microsoft Sam text-to-speech and very crudely splice it in with me still talking. So and it only plays in one left ear, so I won't do that this time. So you just hear from your left ear, hello there, or just like whenever I mess up a word, Narcissu.
I don't know if I've ever heard that, because I always listen with just my right earbud in. I'm not even joking.
If there's a weird silence, most likely Microsoft Sam is there.
Dang.
But yeah, I'll throw it in the description. But it was this cool battle report with a DM, or GM, I suppose.
Yes.
With a GM. But there was a twist. There was a really cool twist. It was this bolt-action game where the British are fighting the Nazis. But there was a twist, Josh. What was the twist?
What, the Occult Tower?
Yeah, the occult tower and...
What happened with the Occult Tower, Sam?
Well, the Nazi leader said, "Well, I am going up there now." He walked up, transformed into his wizard robes, so a different model, and performed a ritual, while the British were like, "Oh no, we gotta go stop the evil ritual."
And not even that. The Nazi player didn't know what would happen when he finished the ritual.
That's right, the Game Master did.
Only the Game Master knew.
And he almost got shot down from that tower before he could do the cool thing, but he didn't.
And what was the cool thing?
It was this, like, kraken that arose from the depths of, like, this stream they were trying to cross, or river.
So a very, like, H.P. Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah, something like that. Some Cthulhu-esque monster.
In the middle of a World War II war game.
Right, and it had a number of attacks equal to its tentacles, and every time it took damage, a tentacle was basically chopped off. So it was the British, with Nazis firing at them, as this giant kraken emerges and starts beating up their troops. But then something else happened. A Pegasus descended from the sky. That was the battle for Pegasus Bridge, was it?
I can't remember.
It was some Esquine-related bridge. But either way, this holy lancer came down and said, "Right then, lads, time to spear the kraken then, isn't it?"
And
they all went, "All right then, eh?" That's all the British guys said. That's what they sound like, by the way.
Yeah, and that channel in particular, all the videos that I've seen, at least of Bolt Action, they all include a game master who creates the scenario and explains things as they're happening and gives the players the ability to make decisions that aren't in the rulebook.
And that's so unique. That's harkening back to the very roots of wargaming itself with Kriegspiele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you would write your orders on a piece of paper and hand them to the game master.
Who was, by the way, always a very experienced general. The game master.
Yes. Yeah, because it was...
And there was two minor generals saying, like, "Rrr."
Yeah, because it was used in, like, actual military plan. If we were to war game this...
If I were the Japanese player, here's what I'd do. Bless him.
What a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. If you know, you know. But yeah, then the general would interpret the orders. And while there were these really complicated tables, generally, like, he would go, "No, I've been on a battlefield. Probably this would happen." And then they'd be like, "Yep, I rolled." And they'd be like, "Oh no, this isn't good."
It's very, very reminiscent of, being a DM and pretending to roll on tables. Like, if...
Let me check this real quick.
A trick I learned from Colville is I always have a bunch of D20s behind the screen, and I keep a couple of them set to values so that if I had to prove to my players, like, "Oh yeah, I rolled a 20, lift up the screen, point to that die." I didn't roll that die, but they don't know that.
Of course. It's a good trick.
Yeah, it's sleight of hand.
See, that's the problem. I always roll in front of my players.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think Matt talked about that with a friend of his who had like the highest kill count campaign because all of them were candid rolls. There was no fluffing to save the players.
I've allowed only one fluff moment that saved a player, and that's because they forgot a rule called shield break, where you can break your shield for half damage on melee attacks. But yeah, no, I've killed a ton. No, the dice have killed.
Yeah, you didn't kill anyone.
Players.
The monsters did.
Oh yes, they have. Did I tell you the current kill count on the last floor of the dungeon they were on?
Just on one floor?
On one floor.
No.
7.
Oompity doomed.
80% of that floor explored.
Brutal.
It wasn't even the big fight that killed, like, the majority of the players. 4 people died to just 4 shitty zombies that emerged from the water.
Oh boy. Jeepers.
That could be your and that could be your war game. 4 shitty poxwalkers that emerge from the depths of a bubbling mire kill 7 space marines. Scenario, baby.
Yeah. But you absolutely could do a scenario where, poxwalkers can rise from the swamps.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
We could come up with some pretty cool Death Guard scenarios.
An infected spaceship. Ooh. Yeah.
Something like the new, it's not called, maybe it is Contagion. Or Disease. How in the new Age of Sigmar rules, they actually...
Disease, I believe.
They spread the disease to models.
That would
by
be
being
cool.
in contact with them.
That'd be so much cooler than the disease aura thing.
Yeah, the disease aura. It sucked when it came out. Then
We should make our own rules.
we should mess with that.
That could be a lot of fun, actually.
'Cause
Maybe one of these hobby nights will have to do it.
Yeah, because that might be something that, the people could use.
I know there's some
If-
people
if
in
we're
my
not-
Discord talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we're not the only ones who feel this way about 10th edition. All right, the only people who really like 10th edition
Spikes.
are Spikes. Most people I talk to go like, yeah, 10th, it's okay. I'd rather play like
The hype's died down.
Frostgrave or something. But I'll play 10th edition.
I want to play Frostgrave.
It's pretty cool.
I have a 3D printer, man.
Burr.
There's so many games, actually. Jeepers. But yeah.
Well, we've rambled. This was a really rambly into this. That is narrative wargaming, why we like it, our problems with competitive play, specifically 40k. And as the largest war game in the world, it merits some talking about.
It's like 5th edition. Fuck 40k. Fuck official 40k.
Fuck 5th edition.
Fuck 5th edition.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah!
Alright, Sam. Time for my favorite part of the week. Hobby Corner.
Woo! I was trying to think of a Woody joke to say, like in between that, but I couldn't come up with anything cool.
Sam, what have you been working on this week in the hobby sphere?
Let's see. Besides getting some footage for videos, I don't know if that counts, but I have been painting this like Knight of the Order Shield, this Errant of the Order Shield for Conquest. I'm finally done painting everything for Ral Partha Legacy, so I can finally focus on my own projects.
Yay!
Yay! Oh dear. So I've been doing that. I was gonna record that actually to make a video, then I decided no, and it's come along really well, just because I've been able to speed.
Yeah, as Sam has learned, it is very difficult to record yourself painting.
It is. Yeah.
It takes an already tedious and time-consuming process and
Amps it up.
makes it even more tedious and time-consuming.
Later we'll do another one, maybe on a cool D&D monster. But besides that, I've been nerding out, planning, plotting, finding STLs, finding miniatures for Turnip 28. Josh knows I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I've been reading the rules. I've been looking at things. Oh, I can't wait to play some of that.
Yeah, so it's a really weird post-apocalyptic Napoleonic setting where you all play as these really shitty soldiers following a pompous cult leader.
Cult leader, idiot. Doesn't really matter.
What do they call him?
Oh, the Toff.
The Toff, and then he's got some toadies.
Yes, his sniveling
And
followers.
then they command chaff and fodder.
It's beautiful.
It looks like a good time.
Speaking of flavor, listen. The Toff's only other ability besides issuing commands is going to the other Toff saying, "Right then, I want to duel you." And then the rule, fine spot for a picnic occurs, where they both go to a cool spot on the battlefield and just fight to the death.
Yeah, both players agree upon a section where their Toffs have to fight.
And literally, there's no backing out of it after that. They fight to the death.
That's all they do.
And then they immediately calmly walk back to wherever they were before and continue on.
Yeah, it looks like a fun time. Again, this is not a competitive game. This is narrative. It's all about making cool models, kit bashes, conversions.
And that's so cool. I've gotten my 3D printer up, man. I've been 3D printing like crazy. I'm excited.
And in a very similar vein, I know we've both been kind of obsessing over Trench Crusade,
Yes, that too.
which is like 40k if 40k was still Grimdark.
And I believe for the hobby corner, you have something cool you could say about that. I'm sure there's more, but
Well, yeah, so I had some really old fantasy models, really crappy models, low detail, made of a flimsy plastic. I just used them for testing paints on. Mm-hmm. But a couple of them were like these priest dudes in robes. So I busted them out, I chopped them up, and I put on a bunch of Krieg bits, and I turned them into Trench Crusade Trench Pilgrims.
and for what they are, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty freaking happy with them so far.
They look pretty. I like them a lot.
And I found a few more that are on the table right now, just waiting to be cut up. Like one's got a big staff. I think I'm gonna turn it into a crucifix.
I really like that they're all Catholic in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a Trench Crusade. That setting. It's basically the Crusades never ended. So,
Also, hell opened up and demons and hell warriors are pouring out.
yes, yeah, shit got whack. But the Crusades are still going on, and it's set in like the 1910s. So
World
World
War
War One technology.
It's so cool. Okay, Crusaders hopping down into trenches to hack up people.
It's pretty freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it, look it up.
Free. Rules are free.
Rules are free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're both very much looking into those narrative games.
Oh, 100%.
The kind of game, kind of like a Necromunda, where you design the model, you name the model, that model has a personality. Like, you know what that model would do.
He likes bombs. He's going to throw bombs each round if he can. Doesn't matter where.
Yeah, that's Cedric. He will always charge the nearest enemy. That's because that's what he does. And then you're role-playing this whole team of, a ragtag team, which is pretty fun.
Very cool. Yeah, Josh, what else have you been up to? Hobby?
Other than that, I've just been basing and priming my models like crazy, and started painting up my Sigmar Cruel Boys after 2 or 3 years of having them.
You've had them for quite a while, and you have a lot of them. See Josh's 100 sub special.
Yeah. Oh. What's 1,300 unpainted models amongst friends, right? But speed paints. Speed paint. This paint's painting speedy.
We'll have to do a speed paints part 2 one day. They really are.
Maybe.
Awesome.
Now that I have like 50 more, we should revisit the topic. But yeah, I just started painting up my Age of Sigmar. 4th edition's around the corner. And while I won't be buying any new models, I am excited to play with the new rules.
Josh, you've been showing me quite a few of them, and I gotta say, it does look pretty dang cool.
It's like what 10th edition wishes it was, if it had better rules writers.
Which is really interesting. It's kind of funny how Sigmar, not their flagship game, gets a lot of the good stuff.
Consistently better rules and models.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
A little bit.
Like, why?
I don't know. It's a staffing thing, maybe?
Yeah. I guess fantasy gamers... No, I guess the same thing's true for sci-fi. They're both really into it.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know if the two teams communicate.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, it seems like 40K copies off Sigmar's homework after their edition comes out, and then the next edition of 40K will look more like this new edition of Sigmar, but then Sigmar 5th edition will just be better than the newest edition of 40K. Mm-hmm. It's a cyclical cycle.
Yeah, it's awfully odd.
Jeepers.
Jeepers.
This has been a rambling one.
That's always good, though.
Yeah.
Mostly always good.
All right. Well, Samuel, thank you for joining me in this hobby hell we call home.
Oh, well, thank you, Josh, for graciously inviting me into this hobby hell we call home.
You're always welcome here.
Jeepers.
And thank you for listening. I think that concludes today's episode.
Oh, yeah, you're a great audience for sticking around. Bless your hearts.
Bless your bunch of sweethearts.
Oh, real quick, we can plug some things now. So we have a Spotify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, do you want to tell them about that?
Oh, yeah. So we're on Spotify and YouTube now. So hopefully, more ears will be reached with our melodious, dulcet tones.
We have the good books. We're spreading the good word of wargaming, tabletop hobbies, role-playing. We just need the masses now.
Exactly. We have the talent.
Oh, definitely. Look at us.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to look at us. You don't even have to listen or watch anything of ours. Just looking at us.
Just look at our background. All right.
Pure talent. We drew those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it would be at Hobby Mules on Spotify.
Yeah. Look us up on look us up on Spotify, and follow and leave a review if you like what you hear.
Oh, please do. And also, I believe you can find Josh somewhere else here on YouTube.
Oh, yes. I am the Frog of Wargaming on YouTube. And Samuel.
Yes, I'm Sideshow Sam on YouTube.
Who's coming up on 1,000 subs rapidly.
It slowed down a teeny bit, but yes, very quickly.
Last I checked, you're in the upper 800s?
No, actually, 804.
Okay, well.
With the next FTL video, there'll be a little boost.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
That's the main attraction right now. But hey, there's other things.
Yeah, I heard there's There's a delicious beverage video coming soon.
Yeah, where does the freaking blue raspberry come from? That's not real.
None can say.
None can say.
Even the wisest cannot tell.
In the 40K universe, it's an actual plant. I don't know where I was going with that. All right, Josh, I think it's time we end it before
We need to cut our losses. All right. Well, we have been Hobby Mules.
And we've been muling the hobby.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.